This week's guest is Donna Tetreault. She's an award-winning journalist and once was a news reporter in LA just like me, a parenting educator and an author whose work has been featured on The Dr. Phil Show, NBC's Today Show, CNN, and The Washington Post. She's spent years translating child development science into real-life guidance for families, helping parents everywhere build homes rooted in connection, compassion, and calm. Her latest book, The Castle Method, offers a framework of 7 pillars: compassion, acceptance, security, trust, love, expectations, and education. It is a breakthrough roadmap for creating emotional safety, resilient kids and families. We're talking about in this episode that there is no such thing as being a perfect parent, and exploring what it truly means to build emotional foundations strong enough to hold the hearts of our children and our own.
Crazy. It's a crazy story. I was doing parenting reporting, and one of my very good friends, the executive producer of Entertainment Tonight, Brad Bessie, called me one night and said, Dr. Phil needs an expert on his show tomorrow. Somebody dropped out. They had a child care issue. Can you do this? And I was like, of course I can do it. And then I got the call, and it was hours and hours the night before dealing with producers and going in the next morning. And it was just like one of the most exciting, experiences I've ever had in my career. And the crazy thing was the next morning I woke up to an email that said, "Hi, this is Dr. Phil. You were amazing on the show. We want to have you back. You've got to come back next week." And that was kind of the beginning of our friendship.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Donna, so before you became an author, you were a reporter just like me. I love that.
Just like you. I know. And I see you and I'm like, I remember those days, general assignment reporting.
Did you work here in LA?
I did. I came back. I'm going to be dating myself. I came back in 2000 after doing the small markets in Texas and Rochester, New York. And I came back to LA. My mom was suffering from Parkinson's disease at the time. And I came back and I got very, very lucky very, very quickly because I didn't have a lot of years under my belt at that point. But they were looking for an education reporter. And I had been a teacher before I was a reporter.
For LAUSD, right?
For LAUSD. And so I got in at KCBS as their education reporter, and I worked for KCBS for many years. And then I went on to CNN and KNBC for a long time until I had my 2 kids. And that's when I exited general assignment and education reporting.
You pivoted into parenting, which is so great because you were able to take what was happening in your real life. You're now becoming a mom and now apply that to your professional life. How did that happen?
That happened because when I was at KNBC, that's where I walked away from. It was too many hours for me. And I really wanted to be present with my son. And I was pregnant with my second son. I had them back to back. A year and 4 days apart.
Oh, you're brave.
Well, not brave. I had suffered 4 miscarriages before I had my first son. And I knew that I wanted to have another child for sure. So we went to work quickly. And I had Asher. So Jackson was first and then Asher. And I wanted to be at home, but then I also felt like, oh my gosh, I'm completely losing who I am and everything that I had worked for so long. But I knew that hours weren't going to work, and I knew that I wanted to be present. And so I said, you know what? And I also knew I needed to learn how to be a better parent.
Learning on the job.
Yes.
We're all just winging it.
That's right. And I just said to myself, you know what? I want to learn about parenting. And so I said, I'm just going to apply all my skill set to asking experts, psychologists, PhDs, researchers, educators, anybody that I could talk to about parenting. And it kind of morphed into becoming a parenting reporter at a time where mommy blogging had just started.
So it was the perfect timing for it.
It really was.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about your book, Castle.
Okay.
And the name of the book is not just the acronym, but also the idea of castle being what we essentially create, like the ecospace for our children to thrive in. How would you explain that?
Yeah. Well, so the castle method is an acronym used as a metaphor to build the castle or the family of your dreams. Not the perfect family, but the best version of your unique family, whatever that looks like. I'm not talking about a nuclear family. I'm talking about a divorced family, a single parent home family, multiple kids, one kid, it's whatever your unique family is, building that best version of that family.
I love that. Wow. Okay, let's talk about the 7 pillars in the book. The first one being compassion.
Compassion. So when I was researching for this book, this is evidence-based. I was researching, how do you build this foundation? And compassion really is the pillar of all of this book. Because when you're looking at anything that you're doing parenting, you have to come from a place of compassion. Even if you are enraged. And I have 2 teen boys right now. And it can get difficult.
We know.
Right?
Bouncing everywhere.
Right. At every season of their
just
childhood.
In a different way.
Right? You look at it through the eyes of compassion. And compassion is different from empathy in that compassion, you're putting yourself in the place of that individual, that person, that child. That's what empathy is as well. But compassion takes it a step further where you are then acting on that. You're not just feeling that empathy for them, you're acting on that. And how can I help you? Not how can I fix it for you, but how can I be there to help you? And so compassion is just one of those things that whatever you're parenting in, whatever space it's in, whatever situation you're in, you look at compassion first.
Okay, so let's talk about an example of compassion, because I think we all want to believe that we are compassionate parents,
right?
But our compassion gets tested when our children are pushing our boundaries. So what would be an example of, let's say, a teenager pushing a parent's boundary, not listening, lying about something? How do you implement compassion in that situation?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's really difficult to implement the compassion. And that's why having the awareness that that's where, even in that really difficult situation, the lying might be happening, instead of going into judgment, which is obviously going to be your first reaction. Why would you do such a thing? Why are you lying? I know you're lying. That's that judgmental piece. It's pulling yourself back and saying, so what happened? Why did this happen?
Why did you lie?
Why did you lie? Get very, very curious. Compassion, you bring in curiosity. And so instead of going forcefully into the judgment, and also once you find out, not going into the consequences, if you will. So I'm not saying that there shouldn't be boundaries, but what does the consequence look like? Is it, I'm taking your phone away? No, that's not going to ever work. It's more about, why did you do that? What can you learn from that? How are you going to make amends for that? Putting that into their space, into how they can then kind of rectify the situation.
Right. I had a situation with my older son who's 9.
Okay.
Over the weekend, we went to Dave & Buster's. Come to find out, my best friend Miriam and I, that our 2 little guys stole something from the Dave & Buster's. I mean, it was a tiny little ball, and they had all the tickets. They could have gotten something free. I even bought him a $90 chess set. So these kids are not deprived.
Right.
He told me in the car, he said, Mom, I did something really bad. I took this ball. And I mean, my girlfriend and I both, stopped and we, gave them the spiel of this is wrong. You should never steal. But how do I be compassionate in that moment where I just want him to understand that that's illegal, kid? I mean, you can't steal. You've never seen your parents steal. Where'd that come from?
Of course. But so let's look at this through this lens.
Yeah.
He said it to you before you even knew about it. So that's looking at him with compassionate eyes and saying, wow, my kid, my sweetheart did something, but he knew that it was wrong. Of course, he knows that it's wrong because you have implemented that, for him, but he came to you. So that's how you can look at him through those compassionate eyes, even though you have to correct it and say, okay, so why did you do that? Thank you for telling me, but why did you do that? And then talking it through. Right. But that's amazing that he shared that with you. That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. No, and the thing is, in that moment, because you're so enraged, you forget that they came to you with it. The honesty is what we should be applauding, but you get caught up in the, oh my God, my kid stole something.
Of course. And
we resort to judgment and reactivity.
That's right. And that's very, very difficult to, in that moment, to be able to bring that compassion in. But if you're practicing it daily, weekly, monthly, there's going to be more times where you pull into the compassion instead of the judgment. And this isn't about being a perfect parent. Oh, I must be compassionate all the time. This is just having that awareness and then practicing it, because none of us is perfect. We're going to react that way, of course. When my kids do something that I don't like, that I know I must correct them on this so that they're aware, of course I have judgment and I have to pull myself back. The other way you use compassion is when you do have the judgment, you're able to reflect later and go back and explain to your child, I'm sorry I reacted that way. I'm really not teaching you in that moment how we should be regulating together. I mean, you're not going to use that term regulating with a young person, but maybe a teenager. And so it's just about having this ability to repair, communicate, have this compassionate sense within the family system that this is where we go, where we try to go most often.
Right. You said something earlier that I thought was really great. You said the castle is essentially our dream idea of a family. Can we really create dream families when it doesn't look and feel dreamy?
So the best version of your unique family, not the perfect family, because there's no perfect family. There's no perfect mom. There's no perfect dad. There's no perfect kid. It's just, there's no perfect family. So what we want to do is look, family is the most important thing to us, right? So we want, just like with our careers, we want to create the best version of our career. So we're going to try to create the best version of our family with what we have.
I love that the overarching theme in this book is also about raising children who are emotionally intelligent. Why do you think focusing on the emotional side of things with kids is so important?
Well, we know from evidence it's so important. All the research indicates it. The way we grew up, we weren't always identifying our feelings. It was kind of my way or the highway. And this is not to be judgmental about how our parents parented us. That's just how it was. This is how parenting and family and development is evolving. And the more research that we know and the things that we know, then we can implement. And so we know now how important it is to allow our children to feel their emotions, to validate those emotions, and then move on to more positive emotions. But then in all that as well, we have to regulate our emotions. I'm always working on regulating my emotions still.
I hear you.
So if the family system knows that it's okay to have emotions, uncomfortable emotions, and we're working toward it, we're practicing, then that's a good thing.
Okay, so I want to bring an example. You said if the family system knows that we have big emotions. So my kids both can have big emotions. My younger son has very big emotions, but mommy sometimes can have big emotions. I'm a very chill person, as people like to say, but there comes a time throughout the day where the chill goes away and it's like the crazy may come out, And it's because I'm tired. It's because so many millions of different things that we all are at the end of the day. So how can I show my kids that that's okay that mommy loses her shit every now and then?
Yes, because we all do, right? So when we lose it, we step back. We give ourselves space. Just like when they lose it and we need to give them space, we need to give ourselves space. That's part of the self-compassion that I talk about in the book, self-compassion for ourselves. So pulling away, giving ourselves space, really coming back and thinking about, I screwed up badly. I just did. That was really, really not good. I mean, I look like a nut. I know I'm a nut. And so like with my teenagers now, I can say, Yeah, I was nuts. I'm sorry. I was completely nuts. And it's like, we know it's okay. We love you. With younger children, it's kind of like, mommy really made a mistake. And I'm really sorry about that. And are you okay? Did I scare you? I hope I didn't scare you. And just talking about those kinds of things. Because you know what? When you blow up, you blow up.
Yeah, so the blow-ups are normal.
They're normal. And what's important is the repair piece of it. So once the blow up happens, giving yourself space, breathing, literally breathing. It sounds so cliche, but taking in those breaths, we know from science, research helps us regulate, re-regulate, co-regulate, and coming back in and apologizing. And I talk about the art of saying I'm sorry. And that's the repair.
It goes a long way, yeah, even with our kids. So what are some other things that moms or parents in general should be a little kinder to themselves about and give themselves just a little bit more compassion?
Yeah, I love this question because I think we're really, really, really hard on ourselves because we're trying to manage things that our parents did not have to manage. I mean, the phone is a nightmare. The internet is a nightmare. Anything that can happen on the phone. And so when I was bringing up my kids, they did not have phones for a very long time. And I really watched what they were able to do on the phone. They had like an hour and then that was it. And the thing that I can impress upon parents right now to help with just being gentle with yourselves is to really enforce those phone rules early on with contracts. Do not give that phone for as long as you can. And you will have more peace in your family. Because the reality is like I said, when I was bringing my kids up, there was no research on phones and the use of social media because they're 17 and 18 now.
So
but
phones,
now we know.
Yeah, phones mean different things. So my kids both have smartphones or iPads.
Okay.
Not for social media. They have Snapchat where they can only take pictures. They're not friends with anyone. They're not sending anything, and there's the parental controls on that. They also play games like Roblox with their friends and other games where it's interactive. I'm okay with that. There's a limit. But when we're talking about how soon a child should have a phone, even just to look at videos, what is the age for that? And then what do you recommend for social media being an appropriate age? And, just take us through that.
Yeah, no, it's a really good question because phones mean a lot of different things, right? So a child really shouldn't have their own phone at this point, we know from research, until at least 13. And the reason why is because it's a little computer that they have in their hand. And even if there are parental controls, it has been worked out where these companies find your kids and they addict your kids and they don't care. And so what I would recommend now is 13 for the phone. But yeah, to have the iPad in the home, always outside of the room, always under your supervision. And for young children, like a 9-year-old, I would say, okay, you can have like iPad time for like an hour a day.
That's what we do. So when I said they have a phone, they're not walking around with it. It's at my house, and I allow them to have, at the end of the day, when they're done with homework, done with dinner, done with bath time, all that stuff, then they have like 40 minutes or so of time to play games with their friends. And I'm listening. So I know if there's a kid there who, maybe is saying something I don't like, I'm usually just around and I'm listening. And that's when I do my own thing. I do like my skincare routine at the end of the day. So it's serving a purpose.
Absolutely.
So that's okay, not okay?
Yeah, no, it is. And they need time. They need downtime. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the time when kids come home from school, immediately making them do homework is not necessarily the best thing for them. And the reason is this. Think about it like this. This goes into our compassion piece again. When you're done with work, do you want to come home from work and turn around and do more work?
I do.
Okay. Most people don't. I don't. Most people don't. You are a worker, okay?
Yeah.
So most people don't. So giving them the ability to have downtime for at least an hour, what does that look like? It could be anything. Not the phone, though. Not the internet, though. Not the iPad. downtime to go outside, downtime to relax, downtime to just sit and literally do nothing, if that's what they want to do, then they can do their homework. Then they get the phone, the iPad, whatever it might be. But what we know is the addiction piece is there. And if it's not managed by parent, it will cause a lot of problems in the home for a very long time. And the research is very, very clear on this.
What are the worst case scenarios?
Well, you just have kids who are not sleeping now. You have teenagers who have their phone all night and they're not sleeping. And it's causing mental health issues. And we know what's going on with our teenagers at this point. So the phone addiction is very, very serious. And if a child is getting the phone very early on and then it's loosening up and you're thinking, okay, they're fine. They're doing their schoolwork. They're fine. If it's taking them out of real life, if it's taking them out of real friendship, if it's taking them out of family life, you're going to start to see these patterns. And so we want to make sure that this is a privilege. This is not a right. And I am the leader of this home. And this is a boundary. And I'm protecting your brain. I'm protecting your mental health. I'm protecting your sleep. So there's all of these things that come into play. And, you know, parents might think, well, it's just, I need the downtime. They need the downtime. And then another hour. And it's just, that's where the addiction comes in.
So set the boundaries when it comes to the phone.
Absolutely. And I really think it's really important, and I like to talk about this, is to have a contract and let the kid talk about what they think would be healthy. Like, so you say you give 40 minutes. How did you come to that? How did you just say 40 minutes is what I feel comfortable with? How did that happen?
Well, 20 minutes just feels like too little for them. You know, They argue, no, mom, a little bit more, a little bit more. So it's usually around 30 minutes. And it's at the end of the day, it doesn't bother their sleep so far, but I know how, you know, the blue light and all those things. So I'm not saying that it's a good situation, but it works. And mind you, they do this 3 days a week, 4 days a week when they're with me. This is not what happens at their dad's house. So it's something that they're allowed to do at the end of the day as a reward.
No, I think it's amazing. End of the day, but make sure that it's completed an hour before they sleep. So then it doesn't disrupt their sleep pattern. Because we do know from science that you have to eliminate that technology an hour before, at least an hour before. So that's really important. But the 40 minutes is practical and manageable, and it's appropriate for that age group. So I wouldn't worry about that at all. I think that's great. That's a great boundary. But the point of when you say, you know, how can parents kind of have less stress in their lives and not feel so guilty about different things, I think it's really important early on to know and to really understand, I am the leader of this house, not as a dictator, but I am the leader of this house, and I know better than you. And I know from research, I mean, you can come here as a reporter and say this to your children with authority, right? And so it's just really important for kids to understand that, you know, this is not just like do whatever you want. It's okay. This phone is okay. No, we know too much now. We know.
Yeah, no, you're so right. Okay, moving on to the second pillar, acceptance. What does that mean in this framework?
Yeah. Acceptance is accepting your child for exactly who they are, not who you want them to be.
Explain that to me. I mean, I understand it, but really explain that.
Yeah. So the straight A student, maybe your child's not a straight A student. They're a B student, and you know they're doing the best that they can. You have to accept your child for who they are. We have too much academic achievement pressure. That's one of the biggest stressors of our kids. Accepting them who they are when they don't want to be out on the field playing. And that's not to say that if they started a team, they have to finish the team, right? But if they say they're done with soccer, then they're done with soccer. But you're the leader and you know that they may change their mind. So allowing for them to be kind of this, like a piece of clay that they're molding and they're learning and they're exposed to so many different things. They may like soccer now and then not like it and then go back to it. And it's not, oh, you're quitting. No, you're not quitting. You're learning. I don't really like that right now, but I like this right now. So it's really being able to watch the child just kind of evolve into who they're supposed to be, not who you want them to be.
Right.
And that's a very difficult thing for a lot of parents.
It is difficult because how do you balance, the children don't have a huge attention span.
No.
And so they may get tired of something prematurely and you want them to stick with it because for all intents and purposes, they might be really good at it. They just don't know yet. So how do you balance your understanding as a parent versus accepting your child?
So like if they join the team and they want to quit in the middle of the season, well, so that's not what we do in our family. Our value system is that we stick with the team. But if you're telling me that at the end of the season that you don't like this, then what would you like? What do you want to try? How could a 6, 7, 8, 9 year, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, how could they know what they really want? Right? So it's about exposing them to all different things and letting them pick from the buffet. And they might go back to something on the buffet later on because they learned, oh, I missed this. I actually really like it. Or they might say, oh, I'm so glad I quit that and found this.
So acceptance really comes from being very curious about our kids.
Yeah. Getting to know who they really are, not who we think they should be. That's hard sometimes because I know what you mean. Like I've got a very creative one and ideas are constantly popping up and popping here and there and there. And so I'm just kind of watching him with the ideas instead of saying, you have to stick with this and follow it through. Why? No, just keep creating, keep seeing what you want to do.
I believe in that too, because I think kids have different gifts and talents and different geniuses they can tap into. And let's face it, the school system now does not necessarily encourage that.
No.
And the traditional route may not be for everyone. It wasn't for me.
It's not. It absolutely isn't. And especially knowing, as a former teacher too, if you're in a box as a certain student, then it's going to work out for you. If you're lower, if you're higher, it's not going to work out for you. And so the parent has to be able to see that the educational system, you look outside of how you can also educate. Of course, they go through formal education, but understanding that we're really behind in our education, and especially with AI popping up now in many schools, and they're trying to figure out how to use AI to help kids learn better. It's not about cheating. And so being really open to the different ways that your child can be educated.
And how can we get to know our kids better? What are some things that we can implement or activities you can do to understand where their gifts may lie?
Yeah, I think it's about exposure. I'm very, very much into letting them try as many things as they can and being very curious and asking them like, okay, so going back to that soccer idea, well, so then what don't you like about it? And they might say, I hate running. That's why I don't want to run. But I might like baseball because I don't have to run as much, but I like hitting a ball. So it's getting curious. It's always asking them, where are they coming from? Because they'll tell you.
My kids both opted out of MMA. They did it for 2 years. My older son got to like orange belt, and they both made an executive decision together, 2 little brothers, that they don't want to go to MMA anymore. And they had to convince us, my ex-husband and I, the parents, they don't want to do it. And so now they do tennis as their second sport. And I can see they're doing pretty well at tennis, whereas I think MMA was just a little too aggressive.
And you know what? That's amazing that you listen to them because 2 years is a lot of time for that age group. That's a lot of their life, right? Yeah. So you're thinking, what are you doing? You put all this time in, but you listen to them and you let them move in their own path, in their own space. And that's what's going. So when you're doing that, you're not only allowing them to grow into what is important to them, you're allowing them and showing them, I trust you. That's another pillar. I trust you. I trust the decisions you're making. I trust you know what's good for you. I trust that you're listening to yourself, and you want them to be able to have that internal compass because later in life, they need to listen to themselves.
I love that. Trusting your kids. What does that do for them emotionally when they see that their parents really trust them?
It just gives them so much more confidence because the two people that they care about most, that they know that love them most in this world, sees them, really sees them and trusts their decisions that they're making. Even if they make a mistake, you're saying, okay, try it, see what happens.
So our job is essentially to be the soundboard, like the wall, right? That the wave can come crash and hit, our children being the wave, and I'm using metaphors here.
Yeah.
We're the wall. Like, I've got this. You can make the mistakes. You can do what you're doing, but I've got this. Even if we're having, the internal struggle as a parent trying to figure it out, we don't want them to see that. We want them to feel that it's them, and we're just here as support.
That's right. And you're following them along the path. But of course, within that path are the boundaries. And so gentle parenting, I'm sure you're familiar with, has gone awry in our society, in that many millennials are now saying, gentle parenting has caused so many issues for me because I'm allowing them to do whatever they want. I'm giving them, all their feels. And that's not what gentle parenting is. Gentle parenting is that compassion and that empathy and allowing for them to move throughout the world and watch them, but within boundaries, in the parent boundaries that keep the child safe.
The guardrails.
The guardrails.
Yeah. So gentle parenting, what works and what doesn't work?
Yeah. The gentle parenting piece works when the feelings are validated. The child is allowed to be who they are, truly who they are. And within the confines of a leader, the parent who is the leader, who will say, that path is not the right path now, because now I'm going to have to put up some guardrails, as you said. And that's where the leadership comes in. But beyond that, you want to keep them safe, physically safe, emotionally safe. But beyond that, just allowing them to be.
Why is safety so important for kids?
Safety is so important because it gives them that secure attachment, right? They need to be able to know that in my home, I know I don't have to worry about anything because I know my parents got me. I know that I'm safe with them. I know that I can trust them to take care of me. And so the safety piece is built in through structure and boundary. And so the structure, like with the phone or the internet, that's structure, that's safety. I'm taking care of you. And it's really important because that allows the child to know that they're free to be who they need to be.
They're free to mess up and you're going to catch them.
That's right.
And you're going to teach them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is safety the same as security?
It is.
Because security is a fourth pillar in the book.
It's security. Yeah. It's the emotional security too. It's really, really important that we teach that emotional well-being, the self-regulation. When they have those emotions, allowing for those blow-ups. You're saying to them, it's safe to be crazy. It's safe to have those emotions. And I like to tell, especially within the teen years, get used to being comfortable with uncomfortable feelings. If you can be comfortable with the uncomfortable feelings of your child, of your teen, you're doing a good job.
I feel like that's something we're trying to teach adults nowadays.
Absolutely. All of us.
Right.
Yes, for sure.
And what I'm getting so far is that the whole idea of the castle, it's not about four walls of a home, but rather creating this almost like this invisible bubble around our children that they can carry with them, whether they're going from mom's house to dad's house to grandma's house to school, that they have this strong sense of emotional safety.
Absolutely. And especially with kids who are in a divorced family, they can have more emotional security than with two parents in the same home. It depends on how the parents want to work together or not. And so if the value system is still the same, that we are here for the kids and for their emotional security and our emotional security and us as a family, we're still a family. We're a family. So it's about what is our value system? Are we in alignment?
Yeah. There's something we do now with my ex-husband and the boys. So if there's something that we're all discussing, we call dad or they call me and we have the conversation and we reinforce that the rule is the same at dad's house and the rule is the same at mom's house. And so they know they're not going to get away with it on either side.
It's the best. And that's the best of co-parenting, because even within a home where both parents are there, sometimes co-parenting is not even happening because you're completely on different spectrums. And that causes a lot of chaos.
Yeah.
So mom and dad always have to kind of be together, the team, to create what the kids need. And when parents go in different directions, kids not only are going to take advantage of that and manipulate that situation, it's going to cause more chaos for them because they don't know what to trust. They don't know what is secure in this situation. Of course, they're going to go toward the easier
parent, yeah.
Right? So it's about coming together as parents and having a value system. And I talk a lot about what the values of our family are and creating a family mission statement. You know, we have corporations that create mission statements, right? On how we're going to be successful, on what our values are. Why wouldn't the most important group in your life, your family, why wouldn't you create a mission statement?
I love that. I love that. And it takes us to the next pillar, which is love.
Love.
So the basis of all this really should be loved. And I think children should understand your mom loves you a lot, your dad loves you a lot, but these are the rules.
Exactly. And it's unconditional love. It's not transactional love. It's not, and there are many studies on this, that if your love is conditional, transactional in any way, the child will know it. So what I mean by that is you're going to get all my love when I see all those A's. But if I see B's, you'll get some love, but it's conditional.
Okay, I want to talk about that for a second because I think parents make this mistake unconsciously.
Absolutely.
Where they say things like that, right? I'm going to be so proud of you when you, whatever, score the thing, get the grade. How can we not do that?
The best way to do that is, again, we're going to incorporate how you can build the child up. You must be so proud of yourself. Wow. You did that. I'm proud of you too. The first thing is to say, you must be so proud of yourself. You're building that child up. If the B's came and that child did the best that they could, that is enough.
Okay, so what's the difference between that and also rewarding our kids for doing the good thing, getting the good grade? How can we frame the conversation?
Reward in what way?
Let's say if I tell my son, if you read 5 books this week, you'll get a gift. Or if you get a good grade, I will reward you with extra iPad time, whatever it may be.
Okay.
So you set the incentive.
So that's interesting. And rewards can work sometimes. And it's a good incentive sometimes, for sure. But we want them to be rewarded within. So why are you wanting them to read 5 books in a week?
I just threw that out there.
Okay, so give me a real one that you would think. And what's behind it? Like what would you ask your child to do? And then what would that reward be?
So usually, okay, let's say the iPad time.
Okay.
I say, I want you guys to both shower, change into your PJs, and if you're in bed by this hour, I'll give you 30 minutes of iPad time. So we have these discussions at home where I don't just give them the iPad time. It's a reward for everything that they did that they were supposed to do.
I love
at the
that
end
then.
of the day.
Okay. So then if they're not getting the iPad time until they've done something, I love that.
Until they've had the dinner, done their homework, showered, brushed their teeth, in bed with their PJs. And I encourage them to do all that.
Oh yeah, no. Then that's beautiful, because it's actually, you're really teaching them that this is a privilege. So if you take care of life early on, I mean, the Montessori method is a preschool method. Are you familiar with it at all? The Montessori method?
A little bit.
Okay, so that's where kids do jobs very early on in life. You're teaching them that. And Maria Montessori, who was the founder, she was an educator and a physician. She always said, do not do for a child what they can do for themselves. So what you're teaching them by saying, you have to do all of these things in order to get this, you're teaching them that there are things in life that you have to do in order to have the privilege, to have the fun. So this is a good thing. This is a good method. If you're saying, I want you to score a goal or two, and then I'll give you extra iPad time, that is not useful.
Right.
But the way you're using this reward system is very useful.
It's for chores, not for their ability to score a goal. Because I would never want my child to feel like, well, I can't score a goal, something's wrong with me.
Right.
I get that.
Right.
I think it all just comes back to, it's from my perspective too. I work really hard. And so I like to set happy little gifts.
It's like
for
your
myself.
goal setting.
Yeah.
It's really good. It is. And especially with the iPad time, the phone time, it's actually a really smart thing to do, because you're teaching them that I'm not just giving this to you.
And I think it
freely.
sets up the expectation for what we expect in the household. You have to do all these things Monday through Friday. It's more relaxed on the weekends. And expectation is number 6 on the pillars.
That's right. And expectations, the way you're using them, are so, so important. And it's important to have expectations. That's right. Like the security ones where you're saying, yeah, you can't go out and stay out until 2:00 in the morning when you're a teenager. The expectation is this is your curfew instead. But what I talk about in expectations as well in the book is expect joy. Expect a joyful household. A lot of times in the rush of our busy lives, it's just, I got to do this is on my list, I got to complete this, and then I'm happy because it's done. We want to expect joy. Joy manifests more joy. And so it's really important to set joyful boundaries. Like, this is important for us to have joyful time together.
What are some other good expectations we can set for our kids?
As far as school, this is the biggest thing, right? School. The expectations for school are for the child to do what the child can do, okay? Really understanding the learner that your child is. A lot of kids with ADHD or other learning differences, parents are not understanding what's happening in the brain. If your child is diagnosed with any kind of learning difference, it's really important to, as a lay person, to understand and figure out as much as you can. A lot of kids with ADHD are considered to be lazy, and they're not lazy. They're just a differently wired brain. The motivation is not there. The dopamine is not there. And so when we're thinking about expectations for school, being really understanding, like if kid is falling behind, there's something behind it. Find out what it is. It's not necessarily kid not wanting to do well. Dr. Becky Kennedy, who's a huge child psychologist, she wrote the book Good Inside. She really tells people to look at their kid, even beyond the behaviors that you don't like or the things that they're doing wrong in your mind, that ultimately they're good inside. So it's a really nice way to think about it as well.
Yeah. All right. The last pillar here, education.
Super important. I think I put that pillar in there as a former teacher and a self-educator, and just somebody who really believes that education is really the future for our kids. And to look at education, like we kind of talked about before, it's not in the confines of the school.
That's what I was going to ask. It's not necessarily about school, but what are some other ways that we can ensure that our kids are getting an education that's more well-rounded?
Yeah. I think it's really important that when you're looking at a kid's education, there are 2 things that are really important. Service being one, and leadership being another one. The book smarts are going to come and go, but we need leaders in our world, right? And we need our kids to learn how to be leaders. So putting them in positions where they can be leaders even at young ages, leaders in the home.
How
You're
so?
teaching them.
For example, let's say for my 6-year-old, how can I teach him? Because with my younger son, Nikki, I will witness these moments in him where he does something that's cute or whatever, and then he gets shy that he just did it, which is so the opposite from his older brother, who just naturally has like this stars born charisma, you know?
Yeah.
But the little one, he gets shy. And like, it's like, I want to give him the tools to feel more empowered without needing to get loud to get attention.
I love that because you're seeing him for who he is.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you see him leading in your home? Is there a pet that he takes care of? Does he show empathy in a way that maybe your older one doesn't? When you point things out to them, when you catch them doing these really good things, because they're doing good things all the time.
Surprisingly, he gets, well, I don't want to say surprisingly, I'm not surprised, but I didn't know. He's a straight A student. He aces every single test. And so he gets so excited when we say, Nikki, you got a 10 out of 10. You got 100%. He's like, Mom, that's an A+? I'm like, yeah, it is. He's like, oh, it was easy. And then he's a lefty. So I always say lefties are super special. And now Chris and I, my older son, are in on the thing. So we're like, Nikki, you're the cool one in the family because you're a lefty. And me and Chris and Dad, we're not. You're the special one. And he's like, yeah, right.
No, but see, I love that.
But I keep saying
yeah. No. You're finding all of these unique things that make him special. And when you keep showing him how special he is, he's going to want to keep going out there in the world with whatever is unique to him. So being, catching him like you're doing, just catching him in all of these really cool ways that they're good and that they're showing love and that they're showing some kind of leadership in a way that looks maybe very small, but it's leading in the way they lead. And then the service piece, we really need to educate our kids and really have them begin service very early on in life.
I think it's also pausing those micro moments. At the end of the day, you mentioned if they have a pet, we have a puppy at home, Oreo.
Oh,
and
cute. Oh.
he's literally Nikki's dog. And so at the end of the night, even though I'm exhausted, and trust me, I don't always do this. Some days it's like, okay, hurry up, we're going to bed. But sometimes I'm like, oh, you love Oreo, don't you, Nikki? I'm like, oh, he was waiting for you to give him a hug. And when I can get down on his level and pause the moment for like 5 minutes and just see how my child interacts with his dog, then I see he's saying things like, oh yeah, I do love him. He's like he's my little baby. And then he gives me the dog. He's like, Mom, hug him. He's your son too. I'm like, let's not get carried away.
So cute.
But it's those little moments where their character starts to shine. And it's like magic.
No, it's magic. And you're noticing them. And that's where you're seeing it. And you're not rushing through. And that's what's so important is being present.
Which is hard because I talk fast. I have a billion things I'm always juggling. So I'm naturally like that person. So how can I slow down more and just be way more present with my kids? It's not like this, we all say it. We throw out these concepts, let's be more present. But really, it's just pausing moments, those little moments where you can get down and just say, I don't have a plan for this for right now, but I'm just going to listen to them and let them guide me. I'm wearing this bracelet because my older son, Chris, loves to make these bracelets.
So cute.
And so I just sit with him now and I just talk to him. I'm like, who are you going to make one now for, Grandma? What color do you think she would like? Just these minuscule questions, slows down time. And I get into their head.
No, it's amazing. And that's exactly what the presence is. It doesn't have to be like this big, glorious, oh, look, we made a cake. We did this. No. It's that.
Just do what they're doing.
Just do what they're doing.
I love that.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about Dear Me.
Okay.
This is for the younger kiddos. Letters to myself for all of my emotions.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's this book about?
So this book is evidence-based, and it really goes through a little boy feeling all of his emotions. And we know from research that writing down your emotions really helps. But for little kids, they can draw their emotions. And so it takes you through a series of days with this little boy where he's frustrated or he's feeling sad because his goldfish died and how he's dealing with that. And it's basically teaching the kid and the parent how to identify the emotion. Mm-hmm. I'm sad. I'm frustrated. I'm angry. All these different, I'm happy. I'm joyful, because we also want to see the positive emotions, not just the negative emotions. We want to be alert to the positive emotions. That builds more positive emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it's in the negative emotion, you're validating it, you're feeling it, you're going through it, and then you're moving on to another emotion, up the emotional scale. It doesn't have to be angry to happy, because there's a lot of emotions in between there, but it could be angry to just frustrated.
Right. And I think that's really fundamental I think we're all trying to learn this now as adults too, right? How do we separate ourselves from our emotions? I'm not an angry person. I feel angry. Yes. So there's a difference between what we feel and who we are. And we really do want our kids to get that concept at a very young age. Nikki, you're not a bad kid.
No.
You just behaved badly.
That's right. It's just your behavior.
Mm-hmm.
It's not who you are. It's just how it came out. Just like when I might yell, I'm not a bad person. I just couldn't manage my emotion right there, right then.
And writing these books and doing what you do you find that it's helped you become a better mom?
Yeah, because I get to ask experts, everything.
You're constantly workshopping.
I'm constantly asking. And so when you get to hear from psychologists and educators and researchers and ask them these questions, like about the teenage brain and why are they doing this? And, well, this is natural. This is what they should be doing. It just makes you understand the process more. Mm-hmm. And it takes away the feeling that, kids on the wrong path or I'm not doing the right thing. It's just about trying to be gentle with yourself and gentle with your kids and your partner, however that partner shows up in your life, and knowing that you're doing the best that you can. And that's all that we can do.
Yeah, giving ourselves a lot of grace.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for letting me pick your brain.
Oh my gosh, this has been so much fun.
Yeah, it has. Thank you so much. I can't wait to read this to Nikki. This is like the perfect bedtime book.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm going to sign it for him.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Breaking Through with Alina Obervian. For our community to grow, please like and share, and also leave a review on this episode. Of course, you can find me on social media and let me know what you'd like to talk about in future episodes. Nothing is off limits, so let's have some fun.